Hi, welcome back to my kitchen. My name is Terry and I am with Salt Creek Farmstead. Today we are making a recipe I have never made before. It is pizza sauce and it is out of the Ball Complete Book of Home Preserving. This is one of my canning Bibles. I have several, but the majority of them are Ball. So anyway, this pizza sauce is pretty simple. We ran the tomatoes through the food mill. We do not have to cut out any of the seeds, the core, bad spots, anything like that, because this machine does it all. And so it seriously cuts down our amount of time and effort. So you can see what came out in the waste bowl. That's all just seeds and peels. And then if you look at what's in here, it's just tomato sauce, basically. And then they had us put half of the puree in this stainless steel pan or pot, and we're going to heat it over high heat. We're going to bring it to a constant boil, and then we're going to add 1 cup at a time, continuing to maintain that boil, stirring occasionally. Once this has come to a boil and I have added the puree, I'll come back with the spices and we'll go over that. We've got this all added and it is rapidly boiling. I'm doing it in this size of a pot because we're doing a double batch. So we measured out the single recipe calls for 13 cups of puree. So this is 26 cups. I'll turn it down just a little bit so it doesn't boil over on me. So each recipe calls for a half a cup of bottled lemon juice. Now this makes it more acidic so that it is safe for water bath canning. And so I'm putting in 1 cup since it's a double recipe. Then 2 teaspoons of dried oregano, calls for 1 teaspoon. Two teaspoons of fresh ground black pepper. Again, single recipe is 1 teaspoon. Two teaspoons of salt, same as before. And then 2 teaspoons of garlic powder. So it's really easy to remember that it's 1 teaspoon of the pepper, the salt, and the garlic powder, and then double that of the oregano. So we're going to stir all of that in. And then it says boil hard, stirring frequently until mixture is the consistency of a thin commercial sauce, about 15 minutes, and then remove it from the heat. And then we'll get going on canning it up. Okay, we got it all boiled down. It is still thin, but that's what it said it should be, and it's still going to cook additionally in the jars. I've got my jars all set up, my rings, my lids. This is a headspace gauge, and the recipe says to leave a 1/2 inch of headspace. So I'm going to test it with that right where my finger is. This and this came in a canning starter kit, as did one of these, a jar lifter. And you can find those. I'll actually have one linked down below where you can find them pretty much anywhere. We looked up about how much pizza sauce you use on a standard 12-inch pizza. And that's kind of what we're going off of because we didn't want to can it in too large of a quantity and then have to store it in the fridge for the next time that we're going to do pizza. So we're actually using these jam jars. Ouch. Okay, the secret for canning is hot product in hot jars in hot water, or cold product, cold jars, cold water. You don't want to mix Otherwise, you'll get thermal shock and break jars, and that's not a fun surprise when you open your canner up. So I've got multiple canners here ready. I don't know that I will need both for the product that I'm doing right now, but this is just the start of what I'm doing today. I have so many tomatoes right now that I need to process, and I'm going to be cranking out a bunch of different things. This is my favorite funnel. It locks on both regular and wide mouth, and I will have that linked also. And then my favorite canning ladle, because it hooks on the side so you don't have to go fishing for it. And I'll have both of those linked. So let's get these filled up. Okay, let me grab my reference to see on these jars what a 1/2 inch is. Okay. Next little ring. Okay, that should be about a 1/2 inch. And now that I know where it is, makes it easy to fill them. Now the lids that I'm using today are 4-jar lids. I actually switched to that brand during the the time when we couldn't get anything in the stores. And I have had almost 100% success rate on them sealing, and I have canned hundreds, if not at this point thousands of jars. Put just a smidge more in a couple of these. Okay. Wet cloth, wipe off your rim so that nothing will interfere with your seal. Now I pre-washed these jars this morning, and I've held them in the dishwasher until I was ready to start this batch. Now the dishwasher is not staying warm because of getting in and out of it. So I have my oven set to 170, which is the lowest it will go. And I just have the jars in there. So they're a little bit warm when I first get them out, but then they become tolerable to handle. As far as the lids or the rings, it is finger tight and then just a smidge more. You don't want to crank them down too tight. Some people will put them on until, like, they don't hold the jar, and as soon as it starts spinning, then they go just a little bit more. Ow, that one's hot. They go just a smidge more. If you go too tight, then sometimes your lids will kind of wrinkle, basically. They won't seal right. Okay, I am going to get the next batch out. I'm going to set those off to the side until I have enough to get my canner started. Woo, thought I had that one tight. Good thing I had caught it. And oh, I need to re-clean that one. I did spill. And I'm actually going to be double stacking in the water bath canner. Now you don't have to have a specific type of pot to water bath can. It's all about the size of your container and how getting enough water over the top of it. So in water bath canning, you want an inch of water over the top of whatever size jar you're using. So if you're using a jar that's this big, you only need a pot that's that big. If you're using quartz, of course you need more than that, because you've got to have it deeper for the larger jar. But because these are jam jars, I'm going to double stack them. Now you can double stack a couple of different ways. I went and grabbed another rack that I have from another canner, and I'm using it in the bottom of it. You just have to have the jars separated by a rack so that it disperses the weight and the heat. You can go as simple as a kitchen towel. You just lay your kitchen towel on the bottom so that the jars aren't sitting on that hot pan, and that dispenses that heat or disperses that heat. And then you put your jars in, and then you can use a rack or another towel, whatever you have. I have even seen people take these and lay them in their pan or zip tie them together, kind of in a configuration that it covers the bottom of the pan. All it is a spacer that you need on the bottom. So I'm going to continue filling jars, and then we'll get them loaded in and go from there. Well, we're all done and all cleaned up. There are 6 pints, 3 of these half pints, 10 jam jars, and then 1 partial. And we'll see how we like it as far as thickness. I followed the recipe, which said to cook it down for about 15 minutes. It looks a little thin, so we'll see and go from there. But I did want to point out that what I got was almost 20 pounds of tomatoes worth, and it ended up being this amount. So I just wanted to take a minute and sign off tonight. Now that I got this done, hopefully tomorrow I can get some more tomato products done, because I still have a whole bunch more. Let me know if you have tried making anything with your tomatoes, and let me know if you have tried canning anything. Love to hear from you. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.